Welcome everyone back to part 2 of the video series today, where we are tackling tracking changes to the user object. We are going to go ahead and build out the user experience now that will allow us to basically turn on and off certain fields from a tracking perspective. So if you remember back to the demo this morning related to tracking changes on the user, we saw how we could go. We had two different tabs at the top of the screen, one that said audit objects and one that said audit fields. We're going to go ahead and start by building out that functionality right now. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to click on Gear, Setup. We're going to select Object Manager. We're going to come over here and click Create Custom Object. We're going to call this first object the audit object. Give it a plural name of audit objects. We'll click Save. Now we want to create another object. Come back, Create Custom Object. And we're going to create an object that's going to hold the fields for that object that we want to track and whether or not they're active or inactive, right? So we're going to call this audit fields. Go ahead and click Save. All right, and then we want to add a couple fields to the audit field object. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to click on Fields and Relationships. Okay. We want to track two main things. We want to track whether or not it's active or not, meaning do we want to be tracking this field or do we not want to be tracking this field? So I'm going to create a checkbox for that. Select New, scroll down, checkbox, Next, and I'm simply going to call this Active. Hit Next and Save. And now I need to connect this back to the original record, okay? The original audit object, okay? So I'm going to create a lookup relationship, or actually a master detail relationship. I'll click on New, master detail relationship. And I am looking for audit object. Click Next, 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 Save. All right, so we have the two fields that we want to track, which is whether or not it's active and then which object this field belongs to. And let's go ahead and quickly create an app and some tabs for this user experience. Click on Home, go to Quick Find, I'm going to type in tab, I'll select tabs. Under Custom Object tabs, I'm going to click on New. Your object, I'll select the Audit Object. Click on Tab Style. I'm going to use Desk for today. Next. Next. Save. And I'm going to create one more for Audit Fields. I'm going to give it the chip icon. Next. Next, save. All right, now I'm going to quickly create an app so that we have a standalone place in Salesforce where we can go to kind of manage this information. Click on App Manager. I'm going to click New Lightning App. And I'm going to call this the Audit App. Select Next. I'll select Next, Next again. And we are going to add the Audit Fields tab and the Audit Objects tab. I'm going to change the order really quickly so that Objects appears first. I'll select Next. Now we need to specify what profiles is this app available to. We're going to say it's just available to system admins. We're going to click Save and Finish. So just so we can quickly see where we're at right now, click on the 9 dots. I can type in audit and pull up the audit app. And we can see our audit objects tab and our audit fields tab. Now there's no records right now because we haven't created any. So we'll quickly create our first audit object. I'll select new. And this audit object is going to represent the user object. Go ahead and click save. Okay. I can come over to related and I can see there's no related audit fields to the user object right now. Go ahead and create one. I'll go ahead and click on new. Go ahead and give it a title of, give it a title of title. And I'm going to head and make this active. Okay. Just a couple real quick user experience things that I'm going to quickly do to make this look a little better. I'm going to click on the gear icon. I'm going to click on Edit Object. I'm going to come to the page layout. I'm going to scroll down to the related list. And I'm just going to add the active field right on here. I'll click Save. Come back to the gear icon. I'm going to click on Edit Page. I'm going to click on related. I'm going to drag this related list right over here. Go back to details. I'm actually going to remove the related tab. So now we just have one tab for details and we have our related list of audit fields over here. I'll click save. I'll activate this. I'll assign this as the org default. I'm going to assign it for just the desktop, hit next, hit save, and I'll hit the back button. All right, so now we're on the user object under the audit object and we can see that for the user, we right now have a field called title, and it is set to active. Now, again, right now, this does not mean that we're going to be tracking the title field. We still need to basically connect the flow to this user experience that we just created. So that's what we're going to do next. So we are going to come back, open up a new tab. We are going to click on the gear icon, setup. We're going to look for flow. We're going to type in flows or click on flows. And then we're going to scroll down for the flow that we just created. User, after save, on create, and edit record triggered flow. Okay. So we're going to need to change this flow a little bit in order to work with our user experience that we just created. Okay. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to figure out basically, do we actually want to track the title, right? Because right now the way the flow works is it's always going to track a change if the title field is changed, right? But now we're saying we only want to track the title. We only want to track changes to the title field if, let's see, where did it go? If this checkbox is checked, okay? So the way that we're going to adjust this is we first need to go out and get this record, this audit field record from Salesforce. And then we're going to check to see whether or not this checkbox is active or not active, okay? Now going back to the flow, and I want to make one correction. We're first still going to check to see whether or not the title was changed, okay? Because if the title was changed, we don't need to see whether or not we are supposed to be tracking this change in Salesforce. So we're going to still check, has the title been changed? The officer looks. Yes, he says, It has been changed. All right, so now we need to figure out, do we want to actually record this change in our database? So following this path, we're going to add in a new element. We're going to click on plus. We're going to scroll down. We're going to select get records. We're going to call this get title user history record. Just copy and paste that label in the description. And now we need to tell Salesforce what audit field record, okay, should we be looking at for, right? What audit field record do we need to access? So we know we're looking for the audit field object. And then we need to specify a couple things, okay? We need to specify the name, the audit field, okay, which in this case is title. But remember, we could in theory be using this for other objects as well, meaning not just the user. So not only do we only want to return the record that's called the title, but we also want to only look for the one that is part of the user audit object, okay? So we're going to need to go and grab the ID from the user audit object. So we'll click on here. We can go ahead and copy this ID. We'll come back. We'll go ahead and enter that here. We'll scroll down. This should only ever return one record, right? It should only return one record because when I'm setting up these audit field records, okay, I should only ever be creating one title field for the user, or one first name field for the contact, etc. Okay, now it would be a good idea to build in some basically exceptions, or build in into the system what happens if we find multiple records, right? What do we do then? We need to keep this simple so that we don't run this video for 2 or 3 hours long. So we're going to keep this as only the first record that's returned. We're going to automatically store all, automatically store all fields. Click done. Okay. So traffic cop has examined the IDs. We've then and determined that there was a change made to the title field. We're then going and we're getting this record, okay? And now we need to determine whether or not this checkbox is checked, right? Whether or not we should be recording this audit. All right, so we're gonna get the title record and then we need to decide, right, whether or not that checkbox is active. I'll go ahead and click on plus, and we need to basically set up another traffic cop, okay? So I'm gonna click on the decision element, and this time the traffic cop is gonna say, is that checkbox checked? All right, so now we need to determine whether or not that checkbox is checked. So we're going to label this title active question mark. We'll give it a description of, is the title field on the user audit record, or is the title field related to the user audit record active? All right, and our first outcome is going to be yes, it is active, and then if it's not, it will take the default outcome approach. So I'm going to say title active. Call this title active true. And so the criteria behind this is simply, scroll down, the record, the audit field, right? So remember we had that element that's going to get that record, and that is stored in this variable for us called audit field from get title user history record. And then we're going to look for the field called active. Okay, we're basically checking to see, is that field equal to true? Okay. Awesome. So if that field is true, meaning we do need to track it, then we want to go ahead and execute these actions. So this is one of the things that's really nice about this beta layout. One of the things that's not very nice about this beta layout. I can go ahead and quickly toggle off. And actually, let me just jump back just so you can see exactly what I need to do. So I want to basically say if the title is active, the next element that goes right here is this. So I need to move this element up and then this element up. So I'm going to deselect the auto layout beta. I'm going to remove the default outcome. Okay. And then I'm actually going to drag that default outcome down to here. Go ahead and toggle this back on so you can see exactly what this looks like. Great. So let's go back over this really quickly. We're going to come in, the user saves the record, the officer stops. Has the title been changed? Is it different from license 1 to license 2? Yes, it's different. Okay. If it's different, we're going to go and get this audit field record from Salesforce. Okay. And once we get that record, we're going to store that record. Okay. And we're going to then go to the next traffic cop. And the traffic cop is going to say, is this checkbox checked? Meaning, do we as an organization want to track changes to the title fields on the user record? Yes, we do in this case, right? Because it's checked. So if that's true, then we're going to go ahead and make all those assignments that we set up before. We're going to assign the current date. We're going to assign the old value, the new value, etc. And then we're going to add that to a list. Okay. And then at the end, we're going to go ahead and push that list into the database. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to activate it. Okay, and then let's quickly go ahead and demo this functionality. So I am going to pull up the People tab. If I hold down the command on my Mac and I click on People, it will actually open it up as another tab right here in Salesforce, so I don't need to go into another app. I can click on my name. This is going to open a separate tab. Okay. Now I want to make a change to the title field. I'm going to come in and click Edit. I'm going to change this from President to President XYZ. Hit Save. And it's gone ahead and recorded it. On 4/14, we changed the record from a value of President to President XYZ, and Alex Fram-Schwartz is the one who made the change. Okay, and just to make sure that this functionality is working and behaving appropriately, we're going to come back to the flow. Sorry, we're going to come back to the audit field record of title, and we're going to deactivate this, right? So we no longer want to track changes to the title field. We'll click Save. We'll come back here, go ahead and click Edit. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to change this to, he's now the president again. Actually, let's change it to something different. He's now the CMO. Click Save. If we scroll down, no record was created, right? We still have 3 records like we did before. So that's it. You guys at this point should hopefully have the functionality and the know-how to go ahead and implement something like this. Again, like I mentioned before, there may be additional things that you want to build in here. You may want to track additional fields. You may want to track less fields. You may want to track different fields. You may want to put in build in additional functionality into the flow to prevent certain things from happening. What if what if we run into an error, right? What if we can't, when we go into Salesforce, what if we can't find this title record, right? Maybe a title record hasn't been created for an for the user object, right? And in that case, maybe we want to send an email to the system admin and say, hey, we're trying to track this change, right? But like the record hasn't been created. So there's all this additional work that you could build in here if you wanted. For the purposes of this demo, I'm trying to keep this as simple and straightforward as possible. But no, you can definitely customize this quite a bit more. So that's it for today. I hope everyone enjoyed this. Feel free to ask any questions, send along any messages, and come to office hours from 1 to 2 today. Thank you.